Yo, what's up, everybody? I got Dillon Andrews here. Dillon is a very good friend of mine now. And brother, could you just introduce yourself, let everybody know what you do?
Yeah, so I run an agency. Well, I started an agency like 5 months ago now, from zero to here 5 months later, and we help like financial professionals and anything in the financial space, basically, generate leads through email, and that's it. That's all we do every single day. We do it for ourselves, and then we do it for them. So.
Dope.
That's it.
Yeah, and like we've been friends on Twitter for a while, and normally in client Ascension we don't work with people who are at $0 per month, primarily because like they can't fulfill the service. There's no like proven track record that they have, and that's why like you have to be able to deliver the service. But you were kind of
I guess I should have mentioned like we did. I've been around since cold email mastery, and I was running emails for people just kind of as a hobby and some side money. I was working on other things at the time that I sold a company last year, and then it was like there was nothing to do, and I was slowly going broke. So this is the quickest way to make money.
Yeah, and it was I guess your foray into client Ascension was kind of like a decision, like, all right, let me just run something back up. So it was like 5 months ago, and you basically took it from zero to like, what is it, like 32K a month or something like that?
Yeah, so we just hit 15. So like we're like scraping in between 40 and 50 right now, seeing who we can if we can sustain the machine right now. It's going pretty well, and I guess I could dive into that too. But yeah, right now we're at about 40, 42, I think.
That's with 15 clients?
14 times 3, whatever that gives you, 42. I try not to get too obsessed with it, right? We just try and run. It's not enough, that's basically.
I thought you were at 30K a month. I didn't know you were at 40. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, by the last time we spoke, right, we kind of lost, like, I was like, I made you delete. We did this interview before. I made him delete it because I was just kind of like, I was depressed about fulfillment, and that's kind of the stages of the whole thing, right? Is that I joined Client Ascension, and then it was like, it ironed out all the nuances I needed to just rip. And that's what we did. We just ripped, and then we ripped, and it was like, God, this is brutal. Like, what do we do with all the people that signed up, And then yeah, I was just kind of like, dude, this is a monster. And then I told you I was doing some other shit, and one of the clients got us shilling his offer, and just distractions, And then I kind of rebased, and 3 weeks later, I'm like, well, it worked, like. And why would we not just do more of that? And you're like, just ask for some. I just worked really hand in hand with Andre to fill out the fulfillment piece. So we went from like 10 clients, and then we lost like 5 of them pretty much. And we just kind of hovered at that 5 for a while till we just rebased a little bit. I built a Trello board with Andre that just kind of streamlined the whole thing, got a VA, and now we just went from 5 to 15, like, super quickly with no issues,
Yeah, you went through that period. I always say this, it always happens at like, it's anywhere from like 10 to 20K a month. You start to like, it's like an absolutely absurd amount of work if you're the only person in the business. So you went through that and had to like actually make a system behind it. And yeah, Andre's that.
I have one partner too. Yeah, I have one partner too, and he does like he's like he does the sales and more of the client facing stuff, and then we kind of just scrap on all the back end stuff. But yeah, even between the two of us, so we got like. Because we don't let our clients do their own replies or anything. So we got an inbox manager and all, just kind of it really wasn't that big of a deal, you know. Just had to talk to someone who's doing it, you know. Like when I talked to you last, I wanted to burn the whole thing, and I was sort of on track to do so. But I'm thinking like Andre don't seem that stressed out, you know. So just really, really helpful. And I went through both phases, right? It was like the no client phase, which there were things in Ascension that helped do that obviously quick, and then a personal depression phase, and then okay, let's grow a dick here and figure this out, because obviously people are doing it, right?
The personal depression phase. Yeah, I mean, if you
it's like not depressed, but I'm like, fucking torch it, man. I'll go work at Costco. This is absurd.
Yeah, so like Knowledge X, I think has I don't know, like 80 something clients, and I think Nix has also 80 something along those lines, and then Client Ascension is like 207 or something like that.
It's nuts.
And
you can't do that without a system.
Yeah, you can't. It's impossible. You actually. Everyone, there's this concept of like, it's cool if you want to sit here and make like 10, 15K a month, and like you could probably do it alone, maybe like one VA just to reclaim some time. But it's like, if you're trying to get to 30, 40, 50, 100, it's like, it's just a completely different game. It's so astronomically different than like 10, 20. And now we're starting to get into the phase of like, well, you get to like 400K a month, and like you're approaching like very multiple $1 million business, and it's like way different, because like I remember reading so many business books about this, where it's like, as the organization expands, like the complexity of, because there's so many different people to talk to and like relay information to the point now where like, if I want to change something in the business, I have to like make a VSL to like sell people on the idea and like map out, and like you want to change something, it has to like, because like there's people on the page and like in the sales process already, and it just has to like at one shot just go. Everyone knows exactly what's going to happen like right when you do it, and it's like 21 people to convey this message to, and it's like super complex. So it's like it's a pain in the ass. But
yeah,
I mean,
I'd imagine I've seen it already. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's relatively simple up to about like 100K a month. So it's like kind of what you build to get past like 2025 is like pretty sufficient to keep you up to about 100.
Yeah, and then there's like we were talking about that 2030 zone is like a slippery slope, where you're either gonna go back to 6K a month, or you're gonna rip to 100K, and that's just how you implement and develop, I think, your systems is how that goes, right? And I think that it was just a huge help. Like, I'm like, why not? Like, it's here. I paid for it. Why not just ask the guy who's doing it? He's like, oh, don't trip, man. And we built out a Trello board, and it's just really not. It's like we wake up, and it's like one thing we started telling ourselves is it's just email. Like people are gonna leave, people are gonna sign up. You're gonna crush for some people be suboptimal, but at the end of the day, you're just sending emails. Like, not the humanity's not riding
it's not
on
the craziest thing in the
my
world.
Creation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of what we were talking about earlier. I think we were talking about this. So there's kind of like two paths forward that you can take like an agency, and one is that you really just productize it, kind of like Andre and Nick have done, and it's like everything is ultra systematized, like mega systematized. And what inevitably happens is you just have some clients churn because there's just so many, right? That just happens. Or it's you kind of take on like a growth partner role where it's like, all right, well, we're getting you all these leads, and like you need to build out a sales team. So like, how about I go recruit the sales team and like train the sales team? And then it's like, putting more like SDRs in the business, and that would obviously come with like some form of profit share and probably some like high retainer amount. So there's really two ways you can take it.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of has a preference of it, because you can only take somebody, you can only like go that growth partner route if you find someone who are just very, very good in their business. And this is a huge misconception with a lot of people, is that they think like a business exists and it's just good. But they don't realize that actually 95% of people, like probably 98% of people, don't make money in their business. Like these prospects you're cold emailing, like they don't make money. Like most people have a garbage business.
Like 90% of people. And it's just like on the internet, there's really no check and balance, right? Like you put in LinkedIn, like I want companies making $5 million. Then you're talking to Fred, who tells you he has no clients, but he helped his uncle once. Well, that work is a case study, you know? I'm like, Jesus, what is this? Absurd. Like we went through a phase where we were talking to like funded companies, like we knew got funding, and it's almost worse at that level. Like some of these guys have made no dollars, and they are on no mission to make money either. So it's kind of ironic. It's like they get, $30 million and their goal is to like build out a team. I'm like, well, what have you sold? And they're like, well, we're still working on the beta. We got 6 dudes. I'm just like, what? So yeah, going to your point.
So weird.
It's so weird.
Like that VC world. It's like we build businesses to like profit and like use the profit to like live our lives and survive, and like if it doesn't work, you just like the business just ceases to exist, and like, that's it. It's like literally like eat, kill. And then you got these VC dudes who like somehow raise like 30 mil and they don't even have a product. It's like, what are you doing,
dude? It blew us away, dude. Like he's like, well, I think we'll be ready to sell in March. What do you mean ready to? You have just confirm you have sold nothing up into this point. I talked to 6 people to get to this phone call here, right? Like you talked to his desk girl, his assistant, his partner, and now you're talking to him. And there's never been, the only revenue made in that business was on April 20th when they got the 100 million, and it's crazy. But yeah, you go on with that topic, but I guess it just validates your point that you start running emails, and that's the problem, is that you realize that like they can't sell, they've never sold anything, and it's and then I can see how people will be like, well, we'll help you do this and this, and now I've been seeing recently that the growth partner thing is kind of blowing up, but it's one of those things that sounds sexier to tweet about, I think, than the reality of it, in my opinion. Like you said, I just different folks, different strokes, but there are definitely pitfalls for that too, because who really holds the cards there too? I did it. I think because one of my very first clients a long time ago was like just a high tip. They pay me like $8,000 a month, right? And if they wake up one day and say your services are no longer needed here, well, your services are no longer needed there. You're not on you weren't at the incorporation date, so you're just the marketer, no matter what you call yourself.
Dude, I was I find this really interesting because I've been like, I mean, we kind of originated from Twitter, where I feel like people on Twitter, they're more sophisticated in their knowledge than like, I guess like the SMMA guys on YouTube. And I was sitting down with Scott and I was like, dude, let's just like watch some SMMA guru videos, and not like the big guys, like little guys, like smaller guys, like maybe they're like, maybe they haven't hit 10K a month or something like that. I just want to see what like
all
they're
of
saying.
them. Say all of them.
So, but like I'll tell you what happens with them is that like they talk about like, yeah, the client churned and like I can't get the client's results, or like, and what is actually happening.
This is the guru. This is the guru saying this.
Well, I wouldn't say guru. It's just people sharing their story. They have good intentions, obviously, and they probably actually are capable of delivering the service. But what has actually happened is that they've sold their service to extremely low ticket, low quality businesses who just like, I'll give you like the local nail salon or something like that. And maybe they spin up like a go high level CRM for them and do Facebook ads for them. And then what happens is like, all right, yeah, we're going to like get these people to come into your business, or like, we're going to like set the appointments, and like the client won't follow up. And like the client has no functional understanding of running a sales process in any capacity. And a lot of these SMMA dudes, they're probably sitting here, they're thinking like, dude, I'm selling these clients, none of it works. And it's like, it's actually not true. It's just that you signed on very low quality businesses. Because what happens is when you're a beginner, or like you've been in business for like less than a year, you kind of operate on the scarcity mentality where it's like, if I can get any appointment, I'm going to take the appointment and try to sell everyone, which actually isn't what you're supposed to do. You should be rejecting like 8 out of 10 people you get on the phone with, because they just aren't a good quality business. Like we were just talking about this, like 90% of companies actually suck. Like they aren't good. They don't make money.
Yeah.
And it's also the problem in selling to like locally based businesses. I think a lot of these guys, they overestimate how much money these businesses actually make. Like profit. I mean, like your local restaurant might legit make like $3,000, $4,000 a month in profit, like maybe less.
Yeah, probably negative, to be honest. You know, it's crazy.
Probably.
And I think that the confusion, right, is like you were saying earlier, people think businesses just are good because they're like a business, and it's not like a freelancer it's not someone on Upwork, right? They got a building. But I mean, walk into a nail salon and ask for the owner, say you want to discuss business with them, and I think in 10 minutes you're gonna ask yourself, is this the guy I wanna run the numbers with? And yeah, I think if people actually went into the business and was like, is the owner here, and realize it's like Billy's dad from high school, like I think they would stop doing that quick. But to your point, they're just like, most people aren't making money and filtering out. It probably really deters people on the agency come up.
If this is if there's anybody watching who kind of falls within that category of maybe like you've done work for some clients and like you couldn't get them results, or maybe you had to refund them, or they said none of this works, you should basically never sell a done for you service to any company that makes less than $500,000 per year profit. Like don't even try to sell any kind of done for you service to anybody that's making less than like 20 grand a month in profit. It's too hard to make it work, right? Like your pricing is a filtering mechanism in and of itself, right? Like you can't be charging, like if you're running like an agency, like you run a sales process for somebody's business, like the thing that they sell has to be expensive. And it's also the case where it's like you see a lot of like e-com guys where it's like Colin. I just did an interview with him, 100K a month Google Ads agency. I'm like, well, who does Colin work with? E-com brands, but they have to have a certain AOV. Like their average order value has to be like above $200. So if you're trying to work with some local client and like every customer they get only spends like $20, so impossible to make a lot of money from them because they don't make a lot of money. But if you come some dude and you're sending cold emails from some guy who's selling some like $8,000 product, it's like you can make like $1,000 to $2,000 for every customer acquisition. You can't work with tiny business. You have to stop doing that. It's too hard.
Yeah, like how many cheeseburgers do you gotta sell to make up the dude's, $4,000 retainer? Like you sold more cheeseburgers ever, and he's still negative because he pays you. That's all he thinks, But of course, right? Like, for example, we run one offer. It's this complete dog shit, blown out offer with and we have too many of them. And I will say this: volume fixes it. So if you're out there, like, stop. You have some crap offer and just like no results, like, stop thinking about a first line. Just spray and pray on as many and tell them exactly what you're selling. Like, hey, I'm reaching out because I do this, and do you want to get on a call? And to anything with a beating heart, that's how you fix a bad offer, or at least, stop the bleeding. But, yeah, for example, though, that crap offer, like, they close one deal and it pays for us for half the year at least. So even in that case, right, it's just a risk to reward thing that's well in their favor, even if they're not getting the volume other offers would.
What kind of qualification or like filtering are you doing for people that you're getting on the phone with right now? Like how are you kind of running that, like disqualifying people?
We go for we just scrap everyone under 10 employees. Sometimes we'll use like the filter, like a million plus for the company. But when you run like a ton of emails, sometimes just because sometimes people don't fill that out when they're building their LinkedIn or their whatever profile that these databases pull from, they don't fill that out. So we'll open that up if we need more leads in that space. But yeah, like pretty much close to what you mentioned. I figured if someone's paying 10 plus people, they're making some kind of money, unless VC, private equity, they're paying 100 people making no money. But for the most part, 50, the 20 to 200 people zone. And then a lot of solopreneurs actually just kind of crush, like the lean like consultant guy. So sometimes we'll just completely eradicate filters, but we get very specific for what they do, right? So we kind of know, like, if he's doing this even with kind of successfully, like he's making money, at least more than most.
Yeah. I remember getting on a call with Nick Palaz, who's also in Client Ascension, like way back when he started. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, so I can't, like, I'm not closing any of these calls. I don't think I'm good at sales. Like, none of these guys are closing. And I was like, well, let me see your list. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, show me what he's doing. He's going in and he's selecting sub 10 employees. And I'm like, no. It's not that you're bad at sales. It's that you're talking to only poor people. They don't have money. So I was like, scrap this list. Turn these campaigns off. All of this, turn this off. Only do 10 plus employees. And then in 3 weeks, he comes back to me. He's like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I'm closing people now. And I'm like, yeah, because they have money.
Yeah. You, no matter what, right? Like, and you'll notice when you're on the call with them, it's like if they have money, they're actually on the call because they're actually trying to solve a problem, right? They want more business to make more money. They're trying to solve a problem, not Susan's dry cleaner, who's like, this is the guy, honey, who's gonna save our company. He's gonna save our dry cleaner. And then in 1 month, when you don't turnkey a dry cleaning company, and they're like, well, that's it, we're closing shop, we can't afford you, and we're not gonna make it.
That's exactly the phrasing that meant, like, this guy will save my business. You can't work with people like that. You cannot do that, because every dollar for them is so important. Where it's like, as you get to larger and larger companies, it kind of happens when they get to like $3 million a year, $3 to $5 million a year. They start to dissociate the company money from their personal money. Because it's like they've at this point, they've been in business for, like, you get 10 employees, you've probably been in business for like 2-3 years at this point. Like, the company works, they've been taking dividends from it and get a salary from it, and they've stacked up money, and they have like a personal net worth, right? So minus $5,000 per month to execute something is extremely inconsequential. Say they're profiting like $150,000, $200,000 a month or something like that. And it's like $5,000 doesn't matter. Even if if they would pay you $5,000 to make like 10, they'd pay you $5,000. Say they sell a high ticket product, they'd pay you $5,000 for like 10 qualified calls. Like, actually, for like $500 a call. Like, that makes sense. It just does.
Yeah, I was talking to one lady, and she's running some company, $900 a call, right? Because one deal is worth $30K plus to them. So, but yeah, definitely the phrasing, like, we've noticed too, like, we have a couple clients, they pay more, and you hear from them the least. Sometimes it's like you try and tell them something just to like give them an update, and it's almost like you're bothering them, right? And so it's like they care way less about, you're not a huge, you're not what's stopping their kids from going to private school because they pay you $3,000 a month,
This is I've kind of talked about this before in many different regards. I feel like there's only two ways to make a lot of money. There's only two. It's either you are the cheapest or you are the most expensive. It's one of those two. You can't be like an average price. Like, let's say like it's a course or something like that. It's like, don't sit here and charge like $300 for your course. Charge either like $30 or like $6,000, like, pick. Yeah. And that's how you do it. That's the only way. It's or like, let's take like a premier steakhouse versus McDonald's. There's no, like, you don't see, or like it's Chipotle, it's super cheap or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's either really cheap or it's really expensive. There's like, the middle ground it's just dumb. There's no like efficiency in it.
And no one's running to get over to average steakhouse where we charge average prices for kind of all right meats, right? Like, it's like, dude, I gotta scrap down this Egg McMuffin, which is like, you have some weird nostalgic, it tastes great, no matter what, or I'm going to get the best steak in the state, wherever I can find it, because I'm splurging. But you're not like, well, babe, it sounds great is a mediocre steak for kind of too much money. That's like the worst. You're furious when you leave. Even if you're a billionaire, you're upset that you paid a lot for something like just gross, right?
It makes a lot of sense if you think about like the socioeconomic distribution of like the entire population, right? It's the middle class is very small, so you can't charge middle class prices. Most people don't have any money. And then people who have money have all of the money. So it's either you charge very, very little or you charge a lot, and only people with all of the money can afford it. And that's it's like an inverted normal distribution, where it's like the amount of money dispersed per person, or the amount of buying power per person. It's just on the ends. It's like people with no money and people with all of the money, and that's how it works. So you have to charge on either end.
And the people with all the money pay the people in the middle, and then the government pays these people. So the broke people get money from the government, and the middle class hopefully get it from the people with all the money. And if not, they end up here and scoring from the government too. But it's super interesting.
Yeah, so I've sold to both of those ends. So like a lot of you guys, like if you're a dude and like you're getting started with like an agency or just like selling any kind of product online, like you're probably like really scared about the concept of charging a lot of money because you've never done that before. And like if you say the price like $10,000, that's a ton of money to you. So your conception of it is warped. You think no one has $10,000, but there are people that exist that just have like $1 million liquid sitting in their bank account, and like those guys exist, and they make like $200 to $1 million per month, like just all of the time, like average state of existence.
Yeah, for years now.
Yeah, like for a long time.
We sold a company, like I mentioned, it was like, it blew me away because I'm like, oh, this is a website, right? Like, I just threw some random price on it, times whatever it was doing, times whatever. I'm like, $200,000, that sounds like a lot. And then the amount of people going to the interview call, or to your like, to meet you, right? To buy it. I was like, there's this many people just like sitting on $200,000. Like it was a huge eye opener, right?
It's I used to, like, my first agency was an Instagram growth agency, and I charged $97 a month, and I had like 97 and 147, and I think at the peak I had like 88 clients or something like that. It was 88 or 90 clients or something like that.
You weren't doing this under the I Come Up guys, were you?
What's that?
Were you doing this under the I Come Up team? Like Cody Kearns and all those dudes out in Florida? You know those guys?
No.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're too young.
No,
I did the exact same thing.
I saw some dudes. It was follow, unfollow. This is way back when it worked. This is like 2018.
I did it. I was doing it. I was doing it at the exact same time as you, selling it.
It
worked.
Dude, it ripped. It worked. And like people stayed for a long time, but it was that price point. So I probably could have sold it for like $1,000 or $2,000 a month, but it'd be a different kind of prospect.
Yeah.
But I was just working with fitness coaches, and like it was cheap enough, and they would get like 500, 1,000 followers a month. They're like, wow, this is crazy. And it was great. And they really liked that. And they stayed a long time. So it was very perfectly priced right there. And then like I've sold courses for $30. I've sold courses for $500. I've sold groups for $36 a month, groups for $46 a month. I've sold $10,000 packages, and I've sold $5,000 per month packages for like done for you services, right? I've sold all of the stuff.
Yeah.
It is the easiest to make money when you sell the expensive stuff. Just indisputably. Like it is the most logistically less intensive thing than working with hundreds of people at a low price point. And the people who pay the most money always happen to get the best results. Somehow. They're always the happiest. They complain the least. They're the least amount of work. They spend the most money. They stay the longest. They have the highest LTV. They close higher. It's just, it really is just the best thing. Don't sell stuff. Like if you're an agency or you're like a coaching program, don't sell stuff to people who make less than $20,000 a month. It's too hard. It's logistically hard. It's emotionally distressingly hard because they just can't seem to get results ever. You're always going to be stressed. Just charge a lot of money. It's so much. It's a completely life-changing aspect of business. It really is. It's so much better.
And the results, they'll never be happy, right? Because they're like, it's not enough, because even if you're doing all right, to them, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm paying him this much. And like the $10,000 guy's like, dude, things it's just, you're a lot better than the last guy. Thanks, Daniel. You know?
Yeah. And they have realistic expectations too. So like, I'll give you for instance, so you like did a little ROI calculator with a client, and like, what if they're paying you like $1,000, they want to make like minimum $10,000, $15,000 back. Like that's how they're operating. They need you to save their business, and they need like a 10x, 15x. Guy who makes $1 million to $5 million a year, he pays you $10K. He's really cool with getting 20. Like he's all right with that. He's like, oh, 2 times return on money. That's great.
Yeah, usually he's shocked if you make him 5, realistically, but you come back with 20, he's ecstatic, right? Because like the previous 13 guys he hired, he never heard back from them, and like you actually did kind of what you said that internet marketers do. Like he's already blown away. Usually, you know. It's like, finally, maybe this guy... Yeah. They
kind of work on longer time horizons, too. So if you go sign a client, the client makes like $4,000 a month. It's like they spend $1,000. They need $2,000 to $10,000 back like in like 10 days. Like that fast. Which is just, it's unrealistic. Like that's unrealistic as a service provider. As a marketing agency, it's impossible. Now, the guy who spends $10,000, who already makes like $3 million a year, he's expecting to spend like $10K a month for like 4 to 6 months and start to see like a gradual compounding effect. So it's like you see this in like cold email too. So it's like you can rip hella emails, and then what happens is you start like the follow up. Well, you have like your 5th follow-up that's like 35 days later. And then like for some reason they weren't checking the email. And then they like a month or 2 months later, they respond back to the email. And it's like, what actually happens is like 70% or 80% of the conversions come like 3 to 6 months after the first touch. And the guys who make
they're running a
money
business
understand that.
Yeah, because they're also running a business, right? Like he's not like you know, Sue Ann, who's sitting there all day like, hopefully a marketer comes to save my business today so I can answer right away. Like he's busy. Like a lot of times they appreciate those, you know, those 30-day later emails, and they're like, oh, my bad, I missed this. Last month was, you know, we got supply chain issues, right? And
So you've been like in this for about 5 months now. So you've seen every aspect of it. I know you got a partner who does the closing. What have you found, like, because there's different kinds of people where there's kind of like, you like the marketers and then like the sales guys and then like the operators, where it's like the fulfillment and stuff. Where do you lean towards? Like which of those 3?
I would love to just like sit around all day and like come up with new ways to funnel people onto sales calls with him. Like if I could do that 24/7, I would just like, how can we scrape, or where can we find people that will buy, you know? where can we find people with back pain so we could sell them this pill? You know, like I get a rush on that. He does sales, and then operations is just like you're almost forced to figure out until you could pay someone who's sick in the head and enjoys that. A decent amount, right?
You're a marketer.
No
you're
joke.
just like me.
Yeah. I would completely just forego operations if the business wouldn't collapse, right?
Yeah. That's what's relatively nice about like software or courses, or that's not even, a lot of people think they'll make like a coaching program or something that's like no fulfillment or not true. Not true at all. There's always like ops to it. Always. And it would just be the best. I kind of have that with Andre. I mean, I still do like a lot of the stuff in Client Ascension, like a lot of it. But it's not to the degree to which it otherwise would be if Andre wasn't there and the 21 people inside of it.
And we had this discussion the other day, man. There's gonna be suck, and it never stops, and it's what we signed up for. And if you're not like prepared, if your goal is for it to stop, you should just try and make like 20 grand a month and start reinvesting in like little things that can make you eventually 10, so you could sit around and do nothing. But if you're in the arena, it's never, I think you'd have to be like ultra rich for it to stop, you know, to where you're just making calls, seeing how everything's doing. But that's a problem, you know, is people get hyped up, but it's a problem a lot of us probably won't live long enough to experience that sort of ultra, you know, Warren Buffett type wealth. But it's like, yeah, if you're in this arena, it's always gonna be, there's gonna be some suck, right? Like that's why you get the money, because if there was no suck, then money bags aren't just gonna fall from heaven because you joined a group, you know.
Yeah. How many hours are you working a day right now? Just like average.
So we have like I could if I'm really efficient, I could get by on like 4 or 5. But like I said, we just go. I mean, we're young. Like why would I not? So if I'm not working on the actual business, right, we have 1 week where I probably work like a madman, just booking all the campaigns and stuff. And we're trying to systematize. So usually that's more painful when you're like building the system is more painful than even hiring someone, because you gotta like relay it to them. Like there's a lot of like it just hurts up front, but then you have the system and it kind of makes it way easier in the future. So we're just ironing that out, and hoping the next round of like campaign builds, I'm hoping is less painful than the previous one. But I could get by on, you know, 4 or 5 hours a day, but I spend the rest, if there's open time, I spend it like, how can we make more money? But that's a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. All right, brother. It's been about 43 minutes. I'll wrap this up here. Stay on real quick. I'll end the recording, but stay on because it's got to upload. I'm using Riverside, so I'll just click the stop recording button.
No worries.
Everyone who wants to connect with Dillon, his Twitter account, probably YouTube as well. I'm going to throw all of his links in the description. Dude is hilarious. To go follow him on Twitter. You're going to see some really funny stuff. But Dillon, brother, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.